Okay, today we're out behind the house. We're actually looking at a potential food plot that I'm gonna plant this year. So right here you can see with this Johnson grass is a little bit shorter than all the Johnson grass around it, kind of in a like a horseshoe, almost like a cul-de-sac. We're gonna keep this brush hog down. I'll bring the tiller back here and I'll till starting about where this Johnson grass is tall. And we'll till this whole area right here. And we're going to plant it. I'm going to leave the tall Johnson grass around. I'm actually hoping it'll kind of screen me when I walk in here. You know, I'm 6 foot. Some of it's taller than me, so I'm thinking it's between 5 and 7 foot tall right now. By October, hopefully it'll be taller than me. Then here in a second I'll move over and we'll talk about where I'm going to possibly put a stand. This will be the first time I've done this here, but just it looked too perfect to not pass up. You know, deer move through here all the time anyways. My buddy's little girl shot a little buck out of this field one year. I've shot deer in the back corner of the woods right over there. Now where you see that corner at, I've shot deer there. And then I've shot deer over, you can actually see one of the blinds over there. I've shot deer right over there as well. So they move through here. I think I can get them to center their focus here. There's right behind this tall Johnson grass, about 20 yards, there's a thicket of sumac. And last year there was a really nice 10 point that bedded in that. And then he would come out, walk the fence line over by this. Never really took time to hunt him because he didn't have the mass that I wanted. He was really nice looking, just he didn't have that heavy mass. I'm thinking he was maybe a 2.5, 3.5 year old buck. This year he ought to be really nice, and I ought to be one that I want to try to take. So I'm going to do that. We'll make this a food plot. This cherry tree right here, which is going to be about 10 yards, maybe 15 yards right in front of, actually this cherry tree over here looks better. So this cherry tree is going to be right about the 20-yard mark from the stand that I'm looking at. This limb right here, that looks about perfect, so I could probably pull the truck up under this, tie my licking branch on, hang it down, clear the grass out right here. And that's right here by this food plot, so it would be, they could come down the fence, he could hit this, go into the food plot, or they could come through, come across, and hit it. There's a couple different scenarios that could play out. You could even have them come across the field. I mean, that right there, those thick trees, that's actually a pond that's grown in because it's not holding water. They could come across and then come over here, hit the food plot. Let me change positions real quick, and then we'll talk about this tree I'm looking at. Okay, so hopefully that's not too much of an angle. You can see me, but you can also see this tree. So I've got an oak tree here. It's got fairly good width. It's about the right size to put a ladder stand in. I like personally hunting out of ladder stands if I'm not going to hunt out of a box blind, tower blind, or a ground blind. So this will make it be a good spot for ladder stand. What I'll do, I'll probably trim some of these up. Actually today I've got some nippers with me, so I'll trim some of these lower limbs up. We'll trim up. Ladder stand should go about where this bigger limb is up here. I'll show you that in a minute. You probably can't see it right now. Cut all those off, cut a little ways up, clear out so I've got my head space. But then, like I said, that puts me 20 yards from that food plot that I'm going to make. And then put between 15 and 20 yards from that stand, or from where I'm going to hang that licking branch. What I'll also have to do is this limb right here, I'll cut down. It's dead. I don't want it here to fall on me one morning when I'm trying to get in the stand. But I'll probably come over with the pole saw. This closest cherry tree to me's got a limb sticking out. That where I'm going to put the licking branch, it's going to cause me a little bit of problems for a shot. I'll cut that limb down to open that up, and then otherwise I'll be done. We'll plant the food plot. Now this food plot I'm going to plant a little bit different than the ones at the other property. I'm going to plant turnips and radishes at this one. I'm not going to plant any kale. I'm not going to plant any clover seed. Reason I'm not going to plant clover seed is there's already quite a bit of white Dutch out in this field, but there's also hairy vetch in this field, and that's another plant that the deer really seem to like around here, is that the hairy vetch that hairy vetch. So that's kind of what we're thinking about for here. This stand's going to be one that if I've got a wind coming out of the east, if I've got one coming out of the north and the south, I can hunt this stand, so it gives me, really good opportunities to hunt out of it. If it's coming out of the west, though, I'm not going to want to hunt it, but because of where it's at, I probably technically could hunt it, because they're already going to be getting the whiffs of me anyways from, the house is about 150 yards away from here. My approach is going to be right down this fence line. I've got a trail brush hogged here. I'll keep it clean so I can come in quiet. Walk up the trail. You've got this, this tall Johnson grass that's going to be basically shielding me from that. I mean, the only part that's going to be of any issue is if there's a deer sees me when I slip up right here. And what I'm actually thinking about doing to cover that part, from when I come off this trail into the actual stand, is when I cut this cherry limb down, lay it right here so it acts, lay it right here in front of the stand so it acts kind of as something that'll break up my outline. When I cut this limb down, I'll do the same thing. So I'm hoping to have some stuff that's going to be, sticking up about head high for me, that'll break me up, so I can come down, I can slip in, crawl up into the stand, and I've got a nice open shot over into that food plot that I'm going to make. This will be a perfect stand. If I have late meetings, can't get out in time to make it to the other property, I can slip my camo on after work, come down here, climb up for an evening hunt. It'll also be one if I wanted to do a quick morning hunt and maybe start work a little bit later. I could slip down first thing in the morning while it's still dark, climb up in, hunt for 20-30 minutes, whatever the time allows, and then sneak out. And I shouldn't bust anyone. That's going to be the good thing about this, is shouldn't bust anyone hunting this area. I've got a pond straight back over here across the field from me. It's about 80 yards. There's the other one, like I said, that I showed you a minute ago, that's kind of grown up. I mean, it might have a little bit of water in it, but it doesn't hold. That one doesn't hold either, but they do use it. It holds just enough where they'll use it. So we got a little bit of work here, not a lot. It's July 13th today, so I've got plenty of time to get this done, as long as I have it done, planted, stand hung by, say, probably September 15th, because the bucks are going to start shedding their velvet right about between the 10th and the 20th. They're going to start going into their fall patterns, somewhat into their home range towards September 21st into October about 10th. After October 10th, they're going to be kind of into their pre-rut patterns. So I'm not sure what time of year this stand's going to work, because this is going to be the first time I'm using it. We'll walk over here and talk about where we're going to put the trail cam to kind of watch this food plot. It should also catch that licking branch. I'm thinking it'll be a really good, excellent spot. We might have to trim a little bit of brush and stuff out of the way, but we'll make it work. Before we do that, I'm gonna pick you up here. So there's that bigger branch up there I'm talking about. We'll have to cut that and, cut up a ways. Most ladder stands are about 15 foot. And that's about where that will be up there. We'll walk back over here real quick. So here's this big cherry tree that I'm talking about that's right near in front of me. That limb right there is going to be the one that we cut and get out of the way. I may cut just so I have the extra protection to hide me. I may cut these two bottom limbs as well to stack over here to help kind of pile up and hide my outline when I come in. We'll see. But you come over here and look. So what I'm thinking and the way that I'm going to work this where I can get both the licking branch, because that's going to be a big thing that I really want to make sure that I'm capturing on camera, is that licking branch. And I don't want it too close to my stand. I really like this tree right here for one, but it puts it just a little close. So if a deer happens to be checking it when I come in, I mean, we're not talking about maybe a 5-yard difference, but 5 yards can make all the world, right? And I might come down here and actually range between the two to the tree to see which one it is, because I don't want it to be over 25 yards. If he's going to come to the licking branch, he's going to take time to stand there and give me a broadside shot, perfect out of that stand. I want it to be under 30 yards where it's perfect. Now, I mean, I can take a 30-yard shot. I'm very comfortable at 30 yards. I could take up to a 40-yard shot. I'm comfortable there. But I'd rather it be 20, 25 yards at the most. So we'll check. We may hang it out of this tree right here, and we may hang it out of this tree. And I've got plans for both if we do either one for the camera. So if we hang it out of this tree, I'm going to actually use this cherry tree as where my camera's going to go. And what we'll do, we'll come in, we'll put the camera right in here. We'll have to trim this branch out. We'll point it towards the licking branch, but it'll also capture deer coming into the food plot. Now, if we use this cherry tree that I'm standing under right now for the licking branch, what I'm going to do is this tree right here. I'm going to trim all that brush. The tree's a little bit bigger. I'll put it under it. I'll point it where it's going to hit the licking branch, and it's also going to get this food plot. That way I can see who's checking the licking branch, who's going in the food plot. Just in case someone doesn't go to the licking branch, we still have them on camera. And I want to make sure that I've got everybody on camera that's going to be in this area, because I want to know what I'm hunting. I want to know if I'm even going to be able to hunt this spot. I might not get any pictures and might not hunt anything here and have wasted all my seed and time. I don't know. I mean, I'm literally putting a food plot in the middle of a field and planting it around using that switch, or that Johnson grass as my shade, as the way that's going to give them the protection that they want to feel in there. So that's kind of the thoughts around this. I just noticed there's a cedar tree right next to this tree, so we'll have to cut that out of the way too. It'll be in the way to getting up and down. But that's kind of the thoughts for this spot I wanted to show you, because this may end up being a really good spot. This may end up being a horrible spot. But I always have deer cross this field, cross the field back here. I always have deer come along this line right here. I've had them come across the middle of the field, especially during the rut. That big 10-point crossed right over here in the middle of the field. I've got deer tracks where they're coming up and they're drinking out of my swimming pool. So they're not afraid of the house. They're not afraid of the dogs barking. I mean, last year I watched a doe come up to the house every single day. Dogs would be out barking at her, and she just didn't care. She knew they couldn't get out of the fence. She didn't care. She'd mill around out there. She'd eat on some hairy vetch and some other weeds that were laying around there. And then she'd go about her way about 11 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I've watched the bucks come out. I've seen real nice bucks in my yard. So, you know, that's why I'm thinking this is going to be a really good spot. I mean, add on top of it, you can't see them, but there's some persimmon trees right back there. So 1st of October, when those persimmons start turning ripe and start dropping, those deer are always right there. So, and that's kind of what I'm wanting to point out. You can watch all this stuff. You can watch, you know, do this for your food plot, places, you know, plan your wind and all this. You can do all of that stuff, but unless you know how to pick out a spot and make it a spot, that's where things get difficult. And it's always a shot in the dark, regardless of what people say. Now, I might not kill something out of here, but I'll probably see nice deer come here. It just depends if there's something coming here that I wanted to pursue or not. And it probably sounds like I've contradicted myself a couple times in this, and I'm not. I'm giving you my full thought process. I mean, I could plant a food plot in my front yard and probably hunt it. I'm not going to, but I'm just saying that, you know, I could do that. And it's all because of my location. But when you're picking your spots, especially if you're going to make a new food plot like I'm going to do here, the biggest thing I guess I'm wanting to point out is take into consideration the deer movements that you already know exist in your area and use those to your benefit. Now, why am I not putting the food plot right along the fence line back there where I know they'll move, they'll go right through it? I don't have a tree that I can use for a stand. I've got a tree here that I could use to put a stand in. So I pull up a few yards from the fence line, you know, 30, 40 yards, 50 yards, whatever that is. I make my food plot. I put a licking branch here. I make my mock scrape underneath it. I put some corn here. I put molasses, something to get them to come to it once it starts growing. And that's probably what I'll do. I'll probably put corn and molasses here if they're not already hitting that mock scrape. But the point being, if you put enough time, effort, and the setting, and you pick a correct setting that's going to work for you and work for movement that you know already exists, more than likely it'll work. I mean, time's going to tell, of course, and every expert out there is going to tell you that eventually you're going to do a set that doesn't work. And if they tell you otherwise, they're lying to you. Not every set's going to work. I don't care if you've been doing it for 2 years, if you've been doing it for 100 years. Not every set that you do for a food plot will work, because you cannot control the weather. You can't control deer movements completely. I mean, you can influence them, and if a person says you can control a deer movement, they're crazy. They don't know anything about deer. You can influence deer movement, but you cannot control it. So I just want to point those couple of things out as well. And standing here talking some more, I'm noticing I've got a nice grapevine right here. So I don't have to go anywhere to find my grapevine that I'm going to use for the licking branch. We'll cut it right there. It'll be natural. It'll already smell like this area. We'll hang it up. We'll be good to go. Hopefully they use it. You have any questions on what we talked about today? Comments? Want me to go into details on my knowledge in a specific area around deer, whether it's food plots, it's certain behaviors they have, certain times of the year, how weather impacts them. I mean, anything like that, let me know, and I'll be happy to try to do that. Hope you like and enjoy this. Talk to you next time. We were done. I lied. I guess I didn't lie. Just wanted to come back and show you something. So I trimmed up a little bit, kind of start getting an idea. There's going to be a stand here. I'll have to come back. I'm at the point now that I can't reach any further with limbs that I need to cut. I'm hoping, let's look at how I'm going to set the stand up real quick. I'm hoping to have the stand straight up here. I may have to turn it a little bit. We'll see. If I do, we'll have to take these limbs off as well. But for now, I'm going to leave them with the hopes that I can set it up like this. But I'll bring the pole saw down here after it's been charged up, finish cutting those out. Find which stand I want to put here, put the stand here. And then this place should be getting close to being ready to hunt. I'll have to brush hog this one more time before I till it. I'll probably till it 2, maybe 3 times. And using that tiller to stay nice and smooth. I may even, after I brush hog it this next time, I may even spray it once just to make sure that I don't have a problem with the weeds growing back. If I like this spot, next year I will plant this little spot in buckwheat, and I'll do a no-till with the buckwheat here. But for now, because I didn't have that planted this year, we'll do it the way I'm going to do it this year. May turn you on again because I'm going to go look for branches for the deer now, for the ones in the pen. I may turn you on, talk about something else if it comes across my mind. I don't know until I get to the house. But for now, see you later. I'm driving by right now where the stand's at, or going to be at. And I guess I missed a point that I wanted to talk about. Putting the stand where I'm at, I actually can watch this field over here on this side. I mean, it's really tall. I've got it growed up for a reason. But I can watch it as well, in case one comes walking down the fence line. Which that could happen. Not saying it wouldn't, but I can watch this field from that stand as well. It'll definitely come in handy when we do predator control, because the coyotes cross just maybe 20 yards behind the stand and then about 20-30 yards in front of the stand. I've seen them cross. So I can definitely use it for predator hunting. And I'm going to probably try my predator hunting with my 45 air rifle this year. That'll be fun. So I might put like the receiver, the speaker for the call down on the ground below the stand, or out a little ways from it, and then flip it on and see if they don't come across the field to it or out of the woods to it. Got a couple big cats that run out here too. One bobcat in particular, he's about the size of a lab. I wouldn't mind maybe shooting him this year. I don't like him being this close to the house, especially with my pen deer. So that stand's going to have double duty. It'll be one we could use pretty much year round. Just had that thought I'd mention it to you guys real quick. Hope you have a good day.